up with each other, even though Santa Cruz was pushing forward off the top of
their feet.
But there was their Cruz had good moments in this round, and there he rips a uppercut or right.
Is this the end for the Floyd Mayweather prodigy, Gervonta Davis? Floyd Mayweather's prodigy, Gervonta Davis, is arguably the next big thing. Some people believe that he will be the greatest of all time one day. But the problem with Davis is his self-destructive behavior, which has recently, once again, got the best of him. Is this the end for the Floyd Mayweather prodigy, Gervonta Davis? Let's take a look into it. Gervonta Davis's rough past. Gervonta Davis had a pretty rough childhood. As a kid, the boxer grew up in an environment where drug abuse was nothing short of rampant. We're talking about Baltimore back in the day. Not only that, there was a lot of gun violence where Davis spent his formative years as well. Davis was the youngest out of his 3 brothers. When he was 5 years old, he was taken away from his mother by Child Protective Services. In 2013, Davis's mother told the Baltimore Sun that she wanted nothing but to give her children a better life. He always told me not to feel bad, but being a mother, I did feel bad about the things he's experienced in his life, she said. Davis, on the other hand, said, "My mother did drugs. It took my grandma about 3 years to get us back as we went into different homes. To a foster family, to a group home, it was like we were locked up too. The only time we could see our family was for about 30 minutes in this little room." When Davis was around 20 years into his rough life, he got his neck inked with the word "blessed" written across it. And blessed he was.
They were both on drugs, and my mother left me and my brother in the house by herself.
How did Davis get into boxing? Looking at Davis's upbringing, it's not hard to believe that he was a problem child. He'd always get into tussles with kids in his neighborhood. At the age of 8, he was apparently fighting teenagers. His uncle, James Walker, upon seeing what was going on with his nephew, thought of an idea of turning a negative into a positive. Walker took him to a gym, which was run by the famous boxing coach Calvin Ford, who is one of the most genius minds in boxing. After winning his debut fight, Davis ran towards his coach, Ford, and gave him a great big hug. "If it wasn't for the gym, I would have been out in the neighborhood running wild," Davis explained. "But most of the time, I was out of town at tournaments because I was winning so much," he added. Becoming Floyd Mayweather's prodigy. Davis became a pro at the age of 18 and got himself a manager who happened to be Al Haymon of Premier Boxing Champions. Davis was then signed by Mayweather's promotion company after the legendary boxer saw his potential in a sparring session.
I don't know, I just gotta go back to the normal.
Floyd called me back the next week and I stayed with him ever since, said Davis back in 2018. After I signed with him, anyone else who would sign with him, no matter what size, first, had to go through me in sparring. I sparred every day for Floyd. That's why he fell in love with me. He looked at me like a son. Mayweather even let Davis fight one of his pay-per-view cards. This was during the time when Davis was still the super featherweight champion for the International Boxing Federation. However, his belt was taken after he couldn't get to the required weight. After that setback, Davis went on to win the WBA championship after beating Jesus Kula. In a private meeting Haymon had with Davis, he told the up-and-coming boxer to stay out of trouble. "I always wanted to build that relationship with him. I knew what a great man he is, so I just listened to him," Davis said about the meeting. Haymon told Davis that he was aware of how Davis was dealing with everything alone up until that point, and that he wanted Davis to trust him. "Trust me," Haymon said. "What would an old man like me have to gain by misleading you? Trust me, and you can go a long way." Unfortunately, from the looks of it, Davis failed to comply with Haymon's advice of staying out of trouble, leaving Floyd Mayweather's wing in order to make a name for himself on his own. Davis has found himself into a plethora of issues, most of which are related to his personal life. Davis's legal problems. Davis's legal issues began in 2017 after an arrest warrant was issued for him. This happened because Davis was accused of aggravated assault of the first degree. After being arrested, the charge was reduced to misdemeanor second-degree assault. Apparently, Davis had punched one of his friends, Anthony Wheeler, in the head, giving him a concussion. These charges were taken back by Wheeler, and Davis was released. Davis was arrested again a year later in 2018 after getting into a physical altercation with another man. From the official statement, both Davis and the other person landed blows to each other's upper bodies, fleeing the scene before the cops got there. In February of 2020, Davis found himself on the wrong side of the law again. He was apprehended for domestic violence against his ex-girlfriend. From what we've heard, Davis grabbed the woman's shirt with his right hand close to her throat, before dragging her to a separate room. This occurred at the Watsco Center at the University of Miami during a basketball match that the former couple were attending. In March of 2021, Davis was indicted on 14 counts for allegedly running a red light. A few months prior, this ended up in Davis's Lamborghini hitting another car, leaving it in smoke. The car that Davis hit had 4 people inside, including a pregnant lady, all of whom were sent to the hospital. Davis fled the scene in another car. It was almost certain that Davis was going to get in serious trouble for this offense. Most people speculated that he would end up behind bars for years. However, Davis got off the hook pretty much scotch-free, getting only a slap on the wrist by the law. In August of 21, while on board a Gulfstream 4, the jet almost totally nosedived, skidding off the runway at Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport. Luckily, Davis, who was accompanied by 13 other people in the jet, suffered only minor injuries. His most recent arrest. Before his fight with Hector Luis Garcia on January 7th, Davis, unsurprisingly, found himself in another legal dispute. This one happened on December 27th, when Davis was arrested and locked up in the Broward County's main jail bureau in Fort Lauderdale because of alleged battery causing bodily harm. This specific arrest.
And Baltimore native Gervonta Davis has been arrested in Florida on domestic violence causing bodily harm charges.
Came as a huge bummer to both the fans of David and Garcia because, well, getting arrested right before a big fight is almost always a guarantee of the fight being called off, or at worst, cancelled. This was the final straw for a lot of boxing viewers. They thought that Davis was done for, and that he would never get the chance to become the legend he could be, considering how the young boxer keeps on getting in trouble. Luckily for Davis, the woman who filed the complaint against him took it back. What this meant was that Davis's fight with Hector on the 7th of January was on, and, well, it did happen, during which Davis successfully defended his title against Garcia, defeating him with ease in their bout.
Walking to the corner of Tank Davis, and he's asking his brother what happened. He is dazed.
You see, the question asking whether it's over for Gervonta Davis doesn't have a clear answer. On one hand, he has the potential to become an icon, and on the other, it's almost as if he is bent on self-destruction. How the young boxer's future is going to play out is something that only time can tell.